Oh, good. Good for you. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
Chris.
I knew you loved me.
Of course I do.
Um,
Not as much as I love this rank S I'm looking at.
that's fair. Few things in life are as pure as a rank S. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Backstage Gaming, dramatic takes on your favorite games. I'm Chris,
I'm Dylan.
and we're here to talk about theater and games and our experiences with both. This week, it's been a while since we did a topic that was very focused on sort of like our experience as actors, and so we're going to bring that back into it a little bit. We're going to be talking about... I know! We're going to talk about things we know how to do. We're going to be talking about character creation in games, both from the ground up, like make your character from scratch kind of things that you see in a lot of RPGs, both digital and tabletop, but also the sort of choice points and decision making involved in games where like maybe there's an established character, but you still get to choose things like different power-ups or different ways of engaging with the game and how that factors into the way that the game feels and the way the game tells its story. Before that, Dylan, we haven't really done, bits on this show before, but I have kind of a bit for you. I have a riddle.
Okay.
Or a puzzle that I have been puzzling over all day, and I'm hoping that you can help me shed light on what exactly I saw.
You've puzzled and puzzled until your puzzler was sore?
My puzzler is so fucking sore.
Okay.
So I'm at work, and I'm taking a break to use the restroom, and I do my business, and I'm washing my hands. And as I'm washing my hands, the most challenging thing that I have ever witnessed happens. A man walks into the bathroom and walks up to the sink. He goes from door to sink.
Okay.
He holds his hands under the hand dryer,
Okay.
rubs them together for a little bit, removes them, skips over the water faucet and goes for the soap dispenser. Acquires soap on his now extra dry and slightly warm hands. No, I'm not done.
This isn't real.
Let me finish my story. So, enters bathroom, dries hands,
Okay, you had
acquires
me so
soap.
far. Yeah,
Acquires
that's where you
soap.
lost me.
lathers soap on dry hands, returns to hand dryer, dries lathery hands, and then walks away from the sink and enters a bathroom stall.
What? He goes into the bathroom stall after
Drying his sudsy
after
hands.
dry sealing his hands.
Yes. I don't know what I witnessed. I don't know how to process this. This man is the most chaotic force I have ever encountered in the wild.
So, okay. Okay.
Begin. My puzzle is set.
Let me try to dissect this. I have no clue. I have no answer here, but he dries his hands to make sure there's absolutely no moisture
Yeah,
on them. No moist hands.
he wants to crack those bad boys.
Yes. And so then he puts the soap on because, of course, like we need that that dry rub sanitation.
Yeah. Shock the
Then
germs.
he bakes the soap onto his hands because you need that layer.
Get
Because
it crusty. Seal in the juices, the flavor. He's making hand ribs. And then he takes his hand ribs into the bathroom stall to do unspeakable things with.
So maybe
I also need you to
Maybe.
understand that this happened 2 hours into my shift, so I had another 4.5
Oh, so that
hours of
just
just
set the
thinking
tone for
about
the day.
this. Every customer I interacted with, I was just thinking about, like, but what about his dry suds?
So maybe it's like, all right. You know what's gross? Wiping. I mean, it's what you're supposed to do, but like maybe the toilet paper's very thin, right? There's a lot of skin on paper on
There's
poo
always the
action.
chance for a breach.
There's oh god. So, maybe he seals his hand in a layer of soap for that extra bit of protection.
Honestly, I'm going to believe that because that is the most logical thing that could possibly be made out of this circumstance.
Like, who knows? Maybe you left and then he re-washed his hands. Maybe this
hope-
man is onto something.
I hope it's not preparatory and then not after the fact.
Yeah, like, all right,
I hope
my
that
hands are clean.
I hope that he didn't say, "Great, now I don't need to wash my hands for the next week because I did this."
Oh my god.
It was deep and dark and full of secrets.
So,
Thank you for playing in this space with me.
this is all I'm gonna think about this whole podcast now. I hope you realize this.
Yep, we got there.
You passed your demons onto me.
And now on to all 8 of you who listen to us. But let's do the actual show that we do here. We're going to talk about character creation because that is arguably, in some games, the biggest single moment of choice that you get to make over the course of a game. And I'm very into it. For anyone who hasn't played a game with a big character creation component, I'm going to use sort of a classic as the baseline example for this, because it covers a lot of the bases of what I'm thinking about. I want to talk, to kick us off, about the game Skyrim. Skyrim is the 5th game in the Elder Scrolls series, which is a popular fantasy role-playing game, video game series. And they are famous, at least Skyrim and its 2 predecessors, Morrowind and Oblivion, were pretty famous for having some of the most robust character creation in gaming for a while. All of these games begin with you coming up with the character you want to play. You can choose from a variety of fantasy races, including like cat people and lizard people, and then a variety of different, more or less human races. You lay out sort of what you want your character to be good at in terms of stats. So there's things like sneaking or lockpicking or fighting or magic, or these, all of the sort of ways of engaging with the world around you in the world of the game. And then you also, in Skyrim, what makes Skyrim extra interesting is you actually increase all of those stats by doing the thing, which is kind of fun and not a system I've seen a ton of other games tap into. So you get better at making armor by making armor. You get better at sneaking by walking around crouched and not being seen.
You know what game actually does that?
What?
Specifically, Final Fantasy II. That one entry.
Really?
Like, if you attack with a physical attack, your strength will go up. If you cast a lot of magic, your MP and magic damage will go up.
That's really cool.
And so on and so forth. The only thing is that because it's a game for the NES, or Famicom technically, like, it's not very well balanced or thought out. So, like, it can get kind of grindy.
It was a simpler time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, don't never apologize for being you. The thing about games like this, Skyrim being a great example of it, is not only are you making choices about, like, this is the character I want to play, but those choices actually end up having a pretty big impact, not on the scripted story of the game, but on sort of the, to use a term we threw around last episode, the emergent narrative of your iteration of that game. If you decide you want to roll up a big beefy boy who's going to fight with big axes and cover himself in metal to just like have a straightforward brawl through the game, yes, you're going to hit all the same story beats. Yes, you're going to have like the same moments that the game writers wrote in, but you're also going to have very different moment to moment experiences. You're going to face the challenges that the game world presents you very differently. You're going to have your own memorable moments of, like, Mr. Beefcake Armor Man is going to have that moment where, like, you were on your last sliver of health and you just managed to brute force your way through, like, the last 3 skeletons standing between you and the end of the quest. Whereas Sneaky McGee is going to have that moment of, like, oh man, I almost got caught, but I managed to, like, use a piece of distracting magic to get the guy to turn around at the last possible minute and just make a break for it. The choices you make early on and the choices you make throughout playing that create your character are going to have repercussions on the story that you experience, which is a very, as I hope became clear last week, if nothing else, I think that moments like that in games are really cool, and I want a lot of that.
not in terms of video games, but, again, and I'll probably be referencing this a couple times because it's fresh in my mind. When I was doing Monster of the Week for the Unexplored Places, my character had a lot of... Monster of the Week, you roll a character... You don't roll a character, but you pick out the skills that you want to use. And one of my skills was I could predict the future by asking a bunch of spirits, like, what lies in my future. And
You were just a Ouija boy.
I was just a Ouija boy, yes. In return, they would ask me a question about my character. And so, obviously, that was Christine asking me a question about my character. And so that was like a fun moment of... I had to do some on-the-spot character choices.
I love that. That's so cool. Monster of the Week is such a cool game.
Yeah, it was all based on how I perceived my character and how I was playing that role and what I think would further, not deepen that role, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I actually want to jump off of that to talk about a game I have been geeking out about a lot recently.
Oh, yes.
There is a tabletop RPG, kind of better term for it, I guess, would be like a narrative RPG called City of Mist. That is, the physical books have not yet been released, but the PDFs are available, which I have acquired, and they're...
Oh, physical books are coming?
Yeah, they're going to be releasing physical books. It is a noir superhero detective game, which... Basically, that's what I first read, and then I went, I need this in my life immediately and forever.
Weep that I am. I hear it, and I think Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, you could very easily do a Yu Yu Hakusho-esque campaign.
And that's what's exciting to me about this game.
It is an RPG very much focused on narrative and very much focused on storytelling as like the core of the game. Weeks ago when we talked about tabletop games, I mentioned that like there is a, D&D is a very crunchy game system. Dungeons and Dragons is all about the numbers. It's all about the, modifiers and math and actual, statistics of what your character is good at. City of Mist is a very smooth game system. It uses sort of a hybrid of two existing game systems, one of which is the Powered by the Apocalypse system, which is what Monster of the Week, the game that Dylan played on Unexplored Places, is based on, which is... all built around what are called playbooks, which are lists of different attributes and different skills. And when you want to interact with the world, you make a move. So things like in Monster of the Week, there are things like kick some ass, investigate a mystery, things like that. In City of Mist, there are things like investigate or go toe-to-toe or hit it with all you've got or face danger, things like that. But then it also uses a portion of the Fate game system, which is... all about coming up with tags that describe what your character is good and bad at. So the way that City of Mist works, and the way I want to talk about it with character creation in mind specifically, is you can basically come up with whatever you want your character to be good at. There's no set list of, what abilities are available to you.
I love freedom like that. That's so cool.
Yeah. The premise of the game is that all of the player characters are rifts, they are regular people in the world who are serving as the conduit for a mythos, or plural mythoi, which the game leaves vague. A lot of the things in the game are left very vague to allow you to interpret them as you want to. But basically, it's like a supernatural force that acts through your character. You can choose to have it be like an actual mythological god. So you could be like, oh, I'm, my mythos is Thor, god of thunder, and so I'm, a prep cook at a seedy diner who has thunder powers.
Okay.
Or it can be something more vague, like you could have it be something like the concept of wrath as described in the 7 Deadly Sins.
Okay, cool.
So you pick what your mythos is, and then each character has 4 themes. And those themes are divided. You have some themes dedicated to your mythos, and you have some themes dedicated to your logos, which is your just regular person in the world identity. And... those themes have categories. So, in the mythos themes, there's things like adaptation, which are powers revolving around, being able to change things up and being, adaptable. Or there's expression,
so
which
continue the Thor example, just so I get an idea.
Let's take as an example character, I decide I want to be a prep cook at a seedy diner on the bad side of town who has discovered that he has Thor's powers.
Yes.
If I were doing this character, I would say, all right, I'm going to take the expression theme, which is all about, physical manifestations of power, And then in that theme book, there is a list of questions, and you answer 3 of those questions to determine what the strengths that this gives you, and 1 question to determine a weakness that it gives you. So, for example, I don't have it open in front of me, but one of the questions in the expression theme book might be something like, what is the primary way that your mythos interacts with the world? And if I was Thor, I might say lightning bolts. So then I would have the power tag lightning bolts.
Okay.
And for the weakness, maybe it would be like, what failing has this discovery of power caused in you? And maybe I would say like false sense of grandeur, or you think you can hurt me, or overconfident, or something like that.
Okay, I dig that.
And then on the logo side, maybe I would say like, I really want, a big part of this character is this job. I might take the routine theme and call it like,
Thor wants to own his own bar.
Well, no, this is something about the human side of me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Person with Thor's powers.
Like I'm working my way to the top, and so like maybe one of the strength tags that gives me is like, I could even pick like the bar owner. If I'm in good with him, maybe he becomes a power tag for me, and I can tag that, like invoke that tag when I go to look for information.
I'm kind of getting this.
It's at its core, you come up with the broad themes of what you want your character to be. Yeah. And then the game asks you questions that allow you to narrow that down into specific strengths and weaknesses that influence how well or poorly your attempts to interact with the world will go. Okay. So say Thor Restaurant Man is in a fight with another Rift, and I decide like, all right, he's distracted by this thing my other players, my teammates doing. I'm going to roll to hit him with all I've got and just shoot a big blast of lightning at him. You roll 2d6 and you count up the number of strength and weakness things that you have that will apply to that roll. Mm-hmm. So using the example I have, I've got, blasts of lightning. That's going to count as a strength. Maybe we're in an environment, maybe like I have a weakness on one of my tags that like, I don't want to damage the restaurant, and we're in the restaurant. That's going to be a weakness tag. Mm-hmm. So,
I really want to play this game.
At some point, I want to put together a Patreon for Backstage Gaming once we have the listenership to support it. And one of the stretch goals is going to be an actual play podcast using City of Mist, because I want that.
That'd be so fun.
So much. I want to run that so much.
Oh my goodness.
One more thing I want to say about City of Mist, and then I promise I'll shut up about it because I'm just geeking out. The main
Isn't that what this podcast is about?
I mean, yes, honestly. The main reason I wanted to touch on it today is not only is that method of character creation rad and very open-ended and very able to allow you as a player to really craft exactly the kind of character that you want to play, the way that progression works is maybe the coolest thing I've ever seen. Okay. So the main way that you progress in the story is entirely narrative. So every one of those themes that I was mentioning, you've got the themes that sort of establish who your character is and what their powers are and what their strengths are. Each of them has, if it's a mythos theme, it's called a mystery, which is something you actually write out, like a question that your character is looking for answers for. So again, for Thor Restaurant Man, under that expression one, I might say something like, and I'm coming up with this on the spot, so it's not going to be great, but maybe that mystery is something like,
who killed my father?
No, because
that was the first generic one I threw out.
I might make it, and there's
or is it more metaphysical than that?
It can be metaphysical, it can be specific. It needs to be something related to the mythos more than your regular person. So maybe I'd say something like, it could be something like, who is my Loki? Or when is Ragnarok coming? Or something like that.
Okay, cool.
And then on the other side, for your logos themes, you write what is called an identity, and that one is a statement. So for the restaurant one, maybe it's like, I need this job, or like, this job is my future. And then the game master's job is to create situations where you have to choose whether or not you're going to follow those core tenets that you have come up with yourself. So they're going to come up with moments where either it's going to be like, those two things are pitted against each other, or what you need to do to like solve whatever mystery you're going after is going to run contrary to one of those options. So like,
so cool.
So maybe, and again, I'm spitballing here, maybe there's a case where it turns out that like the guy who owns the restaurant where this guy works is the bad guy. And so now he has to choose between, his job and protecting the people around him.
Oh, man.
And if...
Oh, no, continue.
Oh, just wait. If you make the choice that adheres to your identity or your mystery, so if he, makes the choice if he has a chance to, blast the guy with lightning and he makes the choice not to and lets him run away, that's bad for the group that's trying to solve the mystery, but he adhered to that identity, so you mark what's called attention.
Okay.
And if you mark attention, I think it's 3 times, that theme gets stronger. You get to pick an upgrade for that power set. If you make the choice
that sounds like Infamous, kinda.
Yes. If you make the choice that runs contrary, you mark on Logos themes, you mark crack, and on Mythos themes, you mark fade. And if you mark that negative version 3 times, you lose that theme, and it's replaced with a theme from the other category.
Oh.
So if this hypothetical character acts against his identity of needing this job as his future 3 times, he loses that thing. He loses the job narratively, but he loses that theme and gains a new Mythos theme. As he is, the player, you have made the choice that your character's, supernatural side is more important than their human side, and so they become more supernatural.
Okay, so but you lose the Thor power?
No, you don't lose the Thor power. So if
you choose a different Mythos, though.
Well, if you don't choose a different Mythos, you lose that Logos theme and you get a new theme in your Mythos.
Oh, okay.
So you get a new suite of Thor abilities, but you are now less human and you've lost that suite of your human abilities.
Okay.
And vice versa. So if you decide that your Thor, your expression theme mystery is when is Ragnarok coming, and your DM is offering seeds of maybe you're able to solve that, but you choose to ignore it in favor of whatever the alternative is, eventually you might lose that expression theme and you might lose the power to shoot lightning. And you'd gain a new Logos identity.
It's like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, it's all about this constant, your character doesn't progress so much as they change based on the choices you make. And the danger is if you ever lose your last Mythos theme or your last Logos theme, you lose control of your character because they've either become, all Mythos and the DM then gets to choose all right, well, you've lost all of the things tying you to who you are as a human, and now you're entirely this being of myth. But if you lose all your Mythos themes, then you go back to just being a regular Joe.
This is really cool.
It's a rad system, and this is what I wish more games were able to tap into, where all of those choices you make in character creation are the story and are what your character ends up being able to do.
Is there a way to reclaim lost?
Yes, there's a way, at the DM's discretion, or
exactly.
In City of Mist, they're referred to as the MC, the Master of Ceremonies, but they can create moments where maybe the rest of the party is able to snap you back into it, but maybe not. Okay. It's a really cool system, and I'm very excited to get to actually play it and not just geek out over the rule books every night as my girlfriend looks at me with concern.
I was gonna say I would love to do a one shot of this, but this doesn't seem like a one shot type of game.
It can be, because I actually shared this with you. There's a free starter set that comes with pre-generated characters.
Okay, I did see that.
So there's 4 pre-gen characters, and there's a sample case. So you can do it as a one-shot. You can do sort of a quick and dirty, this is how the game works, this is how it runs, try it out kind of thing that I would very much like to do with maybe you and Brendan and Dakota or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But I really want to do a deep dive into this. I think that an actual play podcast based on City of Mist would be so much fun to run.
I would love
I have a lot of ideas.
I already have an idea for a character.
Oh yeah, no, I have many ideas for characters kicking around in my head because I love this system, and I love how open-ended it is and allowing you to really come up with exactly who you want to be playing as.
I'm warning you right now, a lot of this is some of that JoJo's weird shit.
Good.
Okay,
Get weird
cool,
on me.
Cool. I love you.
So that turned into a very long rant about a very specific game, but that's...
We just shilled for a game. Where's our money?
Yeah, hey, City of Mist developers who kickstarted their whole deal. Where's our cut?
Where's our cut?
But anyway, now I want to transfer from that back into more of the video game side of things and really into kind of an acting perspective, because I want to talk a little bit about
like it's kind of a continuation of the role play aspect.
Role play, but it's less character creation and more sort of mechanical character choice. Yeah. So I want to talk about games that allow you as a player elements of choice over what your character can do. Actually, Dylan has recently been playing a game that speaks into this a little bit, and he's been itching to talk about it. So, Dylan, hop on in.
All right, Chris, I'm gonna level with you. I have a problem. So, the Devil May Cry 5 demo dropped yesterday. People who have listened to this podcast since episode 2 will know that I love Devil May Cry. It's one of my top franchises. But
Dylan
anyway,
once forced me to play through the first level of Devil May Cry 2?
Devil May Cry 3.
3, and
you keep making that mistake.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why.
It's just funny to me.
I think if I'm remembering this moment correctly, you were like, "Oh, Chris, you'll love it. Play through it once for me." And I was like, "Okay, but I'm gonna do it real," and I set it to like the hard difficulty setting, and then had a very bad time because I hadn't played a DMC game before.
Fun fact, Devil May Cry 3 is the hardest one in the series.
Oh.
So you just jumped right in.
Yeah, I did not do myself any favors there.
If it makes you feel better, the non-special edition version of Devil May Cry 3, the special edition hard mode is the normal edition normal mode. So you got the same rude awakening anyone who got that game back in 2005 did.
All right, that's fair. That makes me feel a little better.
But anyway, so yes, I've been playing this game. I think I've played the demo at least 15 times in the 24 hours since it came out.
Really? How long is this demo?
Like, roses are red. Aw, man, I'm obsessed. Devil May Cry 5. This game, it's the best. Yeah, no, I got home from the gym last night, and I was just like, all right, I'll play Devil May Cry 5, and then, like, I'll run through the demo, like, 3 or 4 times, and, you know, it hits midnight, and I'm like, all right, so, you know, I'll play it for, like, another hour, and then I'll go to bed, and so, like, 1 hits, and then, like, I basically got caught in this loop of, like, all right, 1 more. All right, 1 more. All right, I gotta get 1 more. Man, I'm so close to an S rank. I just gotta get 1 more.
Dylan, score chaser, Gregory.
I'm guilty.
You never answered my very damning question. How long is this demo?
This demo? Oh, God, I don't remember.
You just done it 15 times.
No. So, like, the demo is, I think, 3 fights and then the boss fight. So, like, I want to say, like, 10-ish minutes. I know that when the demo was at different conventions, there was, like, a 15-minute timer for it. So, it is no longer than 15 minutes.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, an average playthrough for me has been about 10 minutes.
All right. Okay. I was thinking, like, 40 minutes, and you'd just been like a man obsessed.
No, it's not a 40-minute demo. It's like anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, depending on like how thoroughly you're exploring and thinking about customization options. Oh yeah, that's another thing. The demo actually saves the currency you get, so that when you replay it, you can buy upgrades.
Oh, that's rad. That's a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, so I fully upgraded like with the limited moves that are available in the demo. I'm sorry, I'm getting way off track, but
it's okay.
I'm really loving this game. I could talk a little bit about, like, this is for a different episode, but like similar to how in Devil May Cry in the second episode of our podcast we talked about how gameplay changes really did a lot to kind of back up the different characterizations Dante has. Nero has like a completely different play style that like completely changes the way his character feels, his personality feels. But that's for another time. Tangentially related to that, though, in Devil May Cry 5, you have the options of every character's, or every version of Nero in Devil May Cry 5, Nero being the main character of Devil May Cry 5, is going to basically be the same in terms of, like, what you have, like, what skills you have. What is different, though, is that Nero has this new mechanic called the Devil Breaker mechanic, where he has a robotic arm. It's like one of 9 different robotic arms, and each arm has its own different properties and attacks.
Yo.
So in the demo, there's one arm you have that is a rocket punch. So, like, you know, the arm just flies off from his... and, you know, punches the enemy repeatedly. And you can also call it back to you and ride it like a hoverboard.
That's so good. That's so good.
It's so good. I love it. There's
the best.
Michael B. Jordan, truer words never spoken.
True American hero.
There's this arm called Gerbera, which it pushes enemies back, but you can also use that same propulsion to do air dodges.
Yo!
And
like the fucking Iron Man gauntlets?
Yes, exactly like
oh
those.
My god.
And, you know, you're
Is this
doing
game going to be
shit.
coming out on PC? Is the demo available on PC?
It is. The demo is not available on PC.
Fuck me!
Dude.
Yeah. Anyway, continue with your point.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep my outbursts to a minimum.
No, this is the Devil May Cry 5 cast now. There are those 2 arms, and then there's a third one that is just, you push things really hard. Nero literally sticks his hand out, and there's a giant electronic hand that just kind of comes out and pushes enemies. But if you charge that move, you set off a detonation, and you, like, stick the arm into an enemy's grasp, push them away, and then you have the option of either waiting for the arm to explode on its own, or you can shoot the enemy to detonate it instantly.
Rad.
And so a lot of what people liked about Devil May Cry, specifically with Dante, is that Dante has these different styles and like different weapons, and so you can really kind of mix and match different weapons with different abilities to really make your own Dante. I vividly remember the IGN review for Devil May Cry 3. It, like, explicitly says, like, any player can play through this game with their own Dante. And the problem with Nero is that prior to the Devil Breakers being introduced, Nero didn't have these robotic arms. He had one arm, and that arm did, like, one thing. And so there wasn't really a lot of variety to what Nero could do. So any player who plays Nero is playing Nero. You know, I found the Devil Breakers I really like. I found the order I wanted to do them, because they have durability, they can break, so you gotta also kind of factor that in. But I was looking at YouTube clips, and, like, everybody has their own way of using the Devil Breakers. Everyone goes into fights with, like, their own style, and it's really cool to see how different people play Nero differently.
And really, that's all acting is.
Exactly.
Acting is just picking the right robot arm for the role. But seriously, that's why I wanted to talk about this side of things, and, like, that's why Dylan had this as the example. Like, the cool thing about, and this is more particular to live theater than to film acting.
Yes.
But you can go see the same play at any number of different productions and basically see a very different story being told. It's the same words, it's the same script, like Hamlet is Hamlet is Hamlet is Hamlet, but because it's being done by a new group of people, it's being done by a new creative team, new actors, all we're doing as actors when we approach a role, particularly, again, in the theater, we're taking the script, we're taking the words, we're taking the lines that have to be said, and we're looking at them and asking the question of, like, okay, how am I going to do this? Why am I doing this? What am I trying to get? How am I trying to get it? Who's important in this scene?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about that is those questions don't have right answers. That's why you can see a production of Hamlet one place, you can see a production of Hamlet a different place,
or
and
hell,
see
you can even see, like, double casted.
Yeah,
like the same production, just double casted.
Yeah, and go one night after the other and see an entirely different take on the story, because those actors found different answers to those questions that they were asking.
My high school, actually, we did double casted versions of To Kill a Mockingbird and Les Mis.
That's rad.
I think Les Mis was double. No, Les Mis wasn't double casted. That was my bad. Still, like, we did To Kill a Mockingbird, and that was double casted, and we had different Atticuses. I believe we had different scouts, and Jem, what was his name?
Jeb, I think.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Different Toms. That's the name of the man on trial, right?
Yes. That's really
And
cool.
so yeah, it was really cool. They all had like their own distinct performance, and it was never the same because like even if like they read the line the same, they are fundamentally different people with different physicality and different voices. Like
Yeah.
all those things are in a way like that person's Atticus is still that person's Atticus, and this person's Atticus is still this person's Atticus.
Yeah. Like that's again, like that is all the work. It's not all the work. There's more to it. Every time I say something like that, I'm being very reductionist, but like that is a big part of what being an actor is being able to find your answers to the questions of like why this character is doing what they're doing. Yeah. And there's a production that I didn't get to see, but I really wanted to. There was last October, there were like 3 different productions of plays based on Frankenstein around Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And one of them that I really wanted to see that I didn't get to, the actor playing Frankenstein and the actor playing the monster both played both roles on alternating nights.
That's so cool.
Right? And just like thinking about that and thinking about having to do that kind of analysis on both of those parts and then getting to play off of the other person, and I would have loved to have been in that rehearsal room.
Yeah.
I would love to take on a challenge like that of like working opposite someone who is doing not just the same kind of work I'm doing, but actually the exact same work on the same part.
I'm fucking reeling right now because like that's just like
that is
so crazy to me.
It's such a brilliant idea for a show like that.
Oh my goodness. Like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm that's so hype. I love it.
I know. I'm like, that is one of the shows that has happened since I've been living in Chicago that I am like most disappointed that I never got around to seeing. Cause man, I wanted to see that.
Whew, man.
But like that's the same kind of thing that you're doing in a game like Devil May Cry where you have all these customization options. Another great example of this is a game that I've talked about many times before on this podcast, but the game, the series Dishonored.
Yes.
In which it can be a stealth game. It can be a first-person swashbuckling gun game. It depends on how you want to play the game. The game says, here is a room, here is a challenge, here is a scene, if you will. Figure out your way through the scene. Here are the tools available to you.
Yeah.
And you as the player then get to choose, okay, how am I going to approach this challenge? And in doing so, you're creating a unique story. You're still Corvo or you're still Emily, whichever character you're playing. If it's Dishonored 2, you can play as Emily. But you're taking on almost an actor-like role of saying, okay, this is how this Corvo is going to face this challenge. This is how this Corvo is going to get around this scene and is going to interact with these people. And by extension, you're sort of saying this is what is important to this version of this character that I am performing as right now. And like, maybe you can argue that I'm, thinking too much about this and stretching, but like not really. You're not doing it for other people, but you're doing it for the game. You're an actor, gamer. Go out and audition. Move to New York. Take up Broadway.
Oh man, yeah, no, that's a good idea. So, I recently beat Kingdom Hearts 3 with Jordan. Jordan being my brother for people who don't listen a lot. And we can talk about where that story goes some other time. Because I feel like it would be important to revisit an episode we had a couple weeks ago, now that I have like the full story in perspective.
Yeah.
That being said, I started a new game on the harder difficulty on my own PS4, and I went with a magic build this time. When I was playing with Jordan, we kind of went for a mixtures just so he could, he wouldn't be forced to use nothing but magic. He could,
right.
Start attacking physically because that's more his
if
style.
If the need arised.
Exactly. Obviously, this affected my stats, and that's what I was expecting. What I didn't realize was, like, how much, because there are 2 choices you make in Kingdom Hearts 3. I think the first one is for what stat you want an increase in, and then the second one is, like, what skills do you want to get? So I was getting a lot more magic skills this time, and, like, they all did stuff like faster MP regeneration, Like, you were given more opportunities to increase the attack of your magic, and so that changed my playstyle drastically, because when I was playing it with Jordan, I would use magic, but the second, like, I ran out of magic, I would have to, go in Keyblade blazing and just, like, whack them to death. Key blazing. Actually, the Keyblade I liked using the most turned into dual pistols, because Kingdom Hearts is a trip.
What? That's
yeah,
so
dude.
cool.
Keyblades have transformations in 3. It's like the best part. Yeah, it's the best
the
part
Bloodborne of Kingdom Hearts games.
I guess that's better than being the Dark Souls of Kingdom Hearts games, because then we'd be called hacks. It was really cool, because, like, dealing magic damage will get you MP back, and so, like, it's just this way to, like, really say, no, it's cool, you can be a wizard if you want, we won't take that away from you.
You're a wizard, Sora.
Obviously, there will come a point where you will run out of magic, but we'll make that take as long as possible so you can really focus on being that spellcaster you want to be.
That's really cool.
And yeah, no, I love that. Which, it's sad because, like, it's contrasted where, like, Sora in this game is the dumbest he's ever been.
Oh no.
Like, he was like a normal kid in the first game, and in 2 he was like he was a little goofy, but, like, he wasn't dumb. I think Donald was, like, the dumb comic relief in that game. In 3, for whatever reason, I think he must have taken his stupid pills, because he's not a bright boy. But yeah, there's one more game I want to talk about, and then I'll probably close it out. That'll be all I have. Let's talk Breath of the Wild.
Okay, we're back at it.
We're back at it.
That's a it's a good pick. It's a good bake, Mary.
It's a damn good pick. So, ironically, Breath of the Wild, the game where Link has, like, probably the most defined character, is also the one where people seem to be the most expressive with him.
Yep, it's so
just
cool.
Because you have so much freedom with what you can do with Link. And so that has led to, and this is less on the acting side, more on the writing side, but I still think what matters is that it is on the creative side.
Yeah. It's a game that is willing to revel in you as the player and your ability to think creatively and to come up with creative solutions to the situations that it sets.
Yeah. The way you can approach Breath of the Wild is, like, has so much creativity in it and is so diverse, and everyone has their own way of interacting with this world that Nintendo has created, that for a time there were people would do illustrations and character sheets of their Link Sonas, similar to Spider Sonas you might have seen in the wake of Into the Spider-Verse. Not Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse, thank you. Where, if you are unaware, after Into the Spider-Verse, which established that there are as many Spider people,
Spidey friends
out there as there are universes, which means that there is an infinite number of them, and all you are limited by is your imagination. And so people have taken to this, and they're like, this is my Spider Sona, as in, this is my cool take on Spider-Man. Well, conversely, not back when Breath of the Wild was big, but, like, when it was fresh, people would do Link Sonas, and they would essentially be like, based on how I've been playing the game, this is how I see Link in this world. If your Link does the bulk of their game, like, hunting for meat and then cooking dishes, and that's how they get by in all these different scenarios, that is a character choice that is incorporated into this Link Sona. If your Link Sona being a portmanteau of Link and Persona, I feel like that was self-explanatory, but it might have needed saying.
I believe it's a portmanteau of Link and Fursona, Dylan.
Oh, of course. How foolish of me. I would not be surprised if there was at least one.
We don't need to invoke
Link.
this curse in our podcast. I regret evoking
furries
the
are
powers.
People too, Chris.
I'm aware, and I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum.
But anyway, yeah, I thought that was a cool way to end it, because that is probably the most tangible thing of what we're talking about when we talk about role-playing as characters and making deliberate choices in how you are representing them.
The fact that people felt so attached to these choices that they were making that they went as far as to, like, this is my Link. let me present him to you.
I was going to say, you even see that with Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, like we were talking about last week.
This is my Pokemon team. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about last week with, like, the different webcomics based around people's Nuzlocke runs. Like, there is something inherently creative about games that allow you to make choices, and things like this really speak to, like, that creative drive in people and people's willingness to, like, if you give them a space in which to play, they will play. And I really like that. I think that's a nice button to end on.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Let's pin it up. Thank you all for listening to Backstage Gaming. I hope that you enjoyed your time here with us in the Game Zone. We are, as always, very thankful to you for listening, and would be even more thankful if you would help us spread the word about our show. Put our name on your mouth and then out into the world, into people's ears, so that they can find us and listen to our words into their ears. We're looking just to, we're trying to have fun here.
Are you saying we're a disease?
We might be an
airborne
audio disease. We are an audio disease that you should transmit to as many people as possible. There is no vaccine for Backstage Gaming. And you can find the nexus of our illness at bsgpod.com. That is our website. It has info about Dylan and me. It has a glossary of terms that I have been meaning to update and haven't been doing a very good job of, but I'll get there.
Oh, yeah. No, we just gave up.
No, we haven't given up on anything, you fool. We've got our episodes that you can download. There's also a contact link if you want to get in touch with us. Please also check us out on social media. Dylan usually does this, but I'm just going to throw a quick plug in. We're on Twitter at BSG_cast, and we are looking for you to give us questions because we're trying to do an audience question episode at some point in the next couple of weeks. So hit us with those thoughts. There's a tweet that you can reply to on the Twitter, or just tweet questions with the hashtag BSGpod. Dylan, hit us with the rest of those social media links.
All right. So you can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube. And, if you ever want to talk about us, we advise that you use the hashtag BSGpod. And if you like the artwork that we use on our site and in our YouTube videos, that is done for us by our friend Brennan French. If you like his artwork, you can check him out at brennanfrench.squarespace.com. That is BRENNEN-French.squarespace.com. You can also check out his stuff on Instagram at Brennan French Arts. That is, again, BRENNENFRENCHARTS. Brennan French Arts. It's pretty self-explanatory, but, you're welcome.
We got there. You should also check out our friend BioQuery. He is the guy behind our theme song, Dot Sound Radio Volume 1, Instrumentality. He has a new album dropping on Spotify on February 13th. So when this episode is out, that will be in 2 days. If you're listening to this on the Monday that it releases, 2 days from now, there will be new BioQuery on Spotify, and you should check that out. You should also check out his SoundCloud, which is at soundcloud.com/bioquery. That's soundcloud.com/BIOQUERY. There's also going to be more podcasts in the world with Dylan and my voices in them. You should check out the next arc of the Unexplored Places podcast, an actual play podcast hosted by our friend Christine. They are a rad dungeon master, game master, that's what it's called in that game, and they're running Monster of the Week. And the new audio drama podcast Unwell, a Midwestern Gothic mystery, is going to launch its first actual episode on February 20th. And if you listen all the way to the last episode of that, you will hear me having terrible things happen to my body. It's going to be a great time. It was a ton of fun to record, and that recording session actually happened in the same room where they record Hello from the Magic Tavern here in Chicago, which was just a huge geek-out moment for me. Yeah. I'm really glad that you all joined us for this week. I hope that you had fun listening to us having fun talking about stuff, and we will talk to you again next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.